It's time for the 49ers Rush podcast. Here's your host, John Chapman.
All right, welcome to another episode of the 49ers Rush podcast. I am your host, John Chapman, and for our live viewing audience, I don't know if you guys notice anything different about me, but I got the infamous Kyle Shanahan stamp 49ers hat, which has come out to a lot of different people. If you guys follow me on Twitter, it was open for about 30 minutes, the hat that Kyle Shanahan always wears on the sidelines, and so I blasted that out on Twitter, and then it was gone. It took like 30 minutes for them to sell out. So, anyway, I keep, I got a little bit of a morning routine, and so I constantly checking in on if New Era makes any more of these hats, and whenever they do, I will put that out there again. But I do kind of feel like in the Christmas spirit right now, just because, man, I bought myself a gift, and I feel great. But anyway, I digress. Monday Night Football is going on right now if you're joining us live, and usually I wait till Tuesday, but with tomorrow being Christmas Eve, kind of had to get an episode up now, just so my wife doesn't leave me tomorrow. So let's talk some 49ers. We got a fun episode. We're going to be talking about the offensive breakdown in the victory versus the Rams, which, man, we got to be really honest with ourselves, was all over the place. There was a lot of good, and there was a lot of really, really, really bad. So let's jump into it. I'm throwing up the film now. So again, if you are watching this podcast with us, whether live or on YouTube later, Periscope, Twitch, Twitter, wherever, the film is up there for you guys. Now, as always, if you do want to catch my audio notes and all that stuff as I break down everything, you do have to head over to the Patreon account. Just type in patreon.com, patreon.com. There's an app as well, Patreon app. Just look up 49ers Rush Podcast, and you can join us there. Just join that Frank Gore tier, and you have access to all of those. We do 2 a week. And this video here that you guys are watching, it starts off with a huge kickoff return by Richie James, because that was just such a key part, and then it goes through every single offensive play of the game. It was an hour and 10 minutes of just breaking down the game, which was a lot of fun. And I do want to just give a quick shout out to some recent Patreon subscribers that joined us over there. Matthew, Zachary, David, Lance, Angel. Cannot say thanks enough, guys. Really do appreciate it, and all of the support that you guys bring to the podcast. So enjoy watching the clips there, but again, if you want more, just know that is available. So a couple things I do want to talk to you guys about. First off, if you're watching the Monday Night Football game, as a 49ers fan, there's 2 different facets that we have to look at when we're talking about playoff seedings, okay? It's going to be basically 1st, 5th, or 6th. That's what we've got. So let's go through the possibilities. Obviously, we control everything. If the 49ers beat Seattle next week, we're the 1 seed, regardless of what happens with every other team. We win, we're number 1. Now, whenever we lose, or if we lose, I don't think we're going to lose. I feel very, very confident, especially with all the recent injuries that have taken place for Seattle. They are not at full strength at all. But let's be honest, neither are the 49ers. A lot of guys out for us as well, but both of those teams, neither one are really healthy, I guess you could say. So anyway, let's say hypothetically the 49ers lose. Here is how the 5 or 6 seed will be determined for the 49ers. It's the Minnesota Vikings. If the Vikings win out and we lose to the Seattle Seahawks, we could be the 6th seed. That is a possibility, and we do not want the 6th seed. That is huge, because instead of traveling to Philadelphia or Dallas, you would be traveling to, I guess that'd be Green Bay or perhaps the Saints, or, again, and this is even crazier, you could be playing Seattle back-to-back weeks, because they lost. There's a lot of different formulas that get into this, and it's going to get a lot clearer after tonight. But the concept is this. You got to win. You win, you get a bye, you get home games. You lose, You go on the road, and you don't get a skip. You got a whole extra road playoff game, which, if you look at Week 17, that's already a home playoff game in and of itself. So you got to be careful with that, because it's definitely, there's a lot out there. So just want to say it's a big game, but right now what we're doing, everybody is rooting for the Packers, which is hard to do because that helps the 49ers the most, and it hurts Seattle Seahawks the most as well, regardless of whatever happens. So everybody is rooting for Aaron Rodgers, which is just yikes. That's rough. It really, really is, but it's what it is. All right, let's get into a couple questions before we go over some offensive stats and grades. From Nick, will Saleh's scheme to stop Mobile Wilson, or does Seattle defense not allow that? No, you can. You can kind of contain him. Russell Wilson's going to get out of the pocket several different times, and they'll have some plays that are intentional for him to do that. You know, they do the zone read play that you see Lamar Jackson do over and over and over again. The difference is Russell Wilson gives it almost every single time. And the only time that he keeps it is if they're in the goal line, or if it's in the end of the second half, or into the second half. So he just waits. He just gives until it's, third and goal, or there's just a huge play that they have to have, then he keeps it. Now, I mean, the fact that we allowed Jared Goff to escape the pocket probably 18 times last week was huge. So definitely some scheme adjustments that could happen, but we've played the Seattle Seahawks 5 times with this defense. So it does seem like they're just going to say, look, if you want to escape the pocket, we're going to let you. That seems to be the philosophy of Robert Saleh's defense. He wants to sell out to stop the run, and he believes that if we stop the run, you can force third and long, and third and long, eventually we're going to get after the quarterback. So that's kind of his scheme, and he doesn't like to jump outside of that. He will make adjustments in the second half, never the first. He doesn't make any adjustments in the first half. So if something's working against us, he's just going to ride with it and let that team do it 20 times in a row. He has no problem with that. He's going to wait till halftime to make an adjustment. So take that for what you want. And yeah, Niner by nature does appear Marshawn Lynch is back. If we look at the injuries for the Seattle Seahawks, they are down their top 3 running backs. They're done. So they're probably not even coming back in the postseason. Chris Carson had his hip. You had Rashard Penny was out 2 weeks ago. Then you had their third string guy was out this week as well. So they're bringing in every running back that's ever played for Kyle Shanahan. That's ever played for the Seattle Seahawks offensive scheme under Schottenheimer. So they're just bringing them all back. You're going to have Marshawn Lynch, who hasn't played football in 10 months. He's going to be starting Week 17. And I hate the Seattle Seahawks. I love Marshawn Lynch. I really, really do. I love the way his attitude, the way he plays, all those things. Donald Brown is out, which is probably the second most important player on their entire franchise next to Russell Wilson, their left tackle, who he did wonderful against Bosa last time, but he's not going to be out there. And so they have a terrible offensive line, and they just lost their best piece. So, and the Vegas odds are in our favor as well. We are, even though we're on the road, we're minus 3.5. So we're almost a full 7 points better, according to Vegas, than the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Russell Wilson, whenever he's in prime time, he shows out. So we'll have to see what happens there. And again, if you want to bet the game, I want to be watching that spread. I think it might go up. So if you want to get in on this action, you better do so soon, because I don't think it's going to stay at negative 3.5. I think it's going to jump up to negative 4. We're going to keep going that direction. So if you want to bet the spread side for the 49ers, you better get in there relatively soon. And if you want to bet, as always, the best supporters of our podcast has been mybookie.ag. The number 1 sports book site on the interwebs. They have everything. You can poker, football, college football, NCAA, NBA. They have everything. Whatever it is you want to bet, they got it. They have the most prop bets of any site out there. So if you want to bet something crazy, that George Kittle's going to have 7 catches, that's an option. And we're going to go through a lot of bets. We hit on almost everything but one last week by 2 yards. We thought Jimmy Garoppolo was going to throw for 250. He goes for 248, and that cost us a little bit. But man, we got paid out on, I think, 4 bets last week if you bet with us on everything. So stay tuned with us. We will have another episode later on in the week where we do break down some scoring things. But again, head over to mybookie.ag, sign up with promo code 49ers, 49ERS. They're going to double your initial deposit all the way up to $1,000. So really curious to see how this week's going to play out. This is what the 49ers have built. You go 12-3, and you might be the 6th seed. Imagine that. The NFC is stacked. It really, really is. Outside of the NFC West or East, it is just completely stacked. Real quick, 49ers did make a transition. Thank you, Niner by Nature. What do you feel about Anthony Zettel? So the 49ers go out and they waive Jeremiah Valuga, and they bring in Anthony Zettel. Now, Zettel was a 6th-round pick out of Penn State, and he is a little bit more of a hybrid high-energy player, a little bit less of kind of your power defensive end, which the 49ers are stacked with. He's going to be a pass rush specialist. Now, he's got 7.5 sacks on his career. He's played with 3 teams over the course of 4 years. If you go through my Twitter feed, I just tweeted out, I guess about 2 hours ago, I put together just like a couple quick sack highlight reel of Zettel. So if you want to see what he looks like, he's a high energy, high motor guy. He wins a little bit more with speed and leverage instead of power. He's not a huge power guy. And most of his sacks were because he doesn't give up. He just keeps running, kind of Energizer Bunny-esque, until he gets to the quarterback. And a lot of his sacks are because the opposing defensive end flushes the quarterback out, and then he cleans up. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to get a lot of snaps this week, but I do think that he'll be in there in pass rush situations to give Bosa just a little bit more of breather. He's taken so many snaps, so that's going to be key. Nick, will Akello play better this game or be replaced? Here's the deal with Akello Witherspoon, and I kind of feel... I don't feel bad. I put out a tweet just of the stats that he has given up the last 2 weeks, completely objective. It had nothing to do, it just said, I think it's time for Emmanuel Mosley, and I listed, all the targets that he's allowed and all those things. It kind of caught fire a little bit, and it's been out, retweeted and liked, hundreds and hundreds of times and whatever. Here's the deal with Akello Witherspoon. I like him. I really, really do. But we've seen this twice from him, where his confidence gets shot and his play follows. And he has played very, very poorly. And so if you want to stay with Akello Witherspoon, here's what you have to commit. You got to keep him in zone coverage. Akello can't play man coverage. Akello can't play man coverage, and it is obvious. Now, we have played back-to-back games against some really quality wide receivers, but he's getting burned against man coverage. You give the touchdown pass up to the tight end, Everett. He's getting burned by Julio, which everybody does. Cooper Kupp outran him without even making a cut or anything. If you're going to stick to Akello, you need to not bring 5-man pressure, because if you do that, then you're going to have to move him to man, and he just gets torched. Every single time Akello's in man, bad things happen for the 49ers. Again, the defensive breakdown that I'll be doing later on this week, I'll highlight that big time. So I do think Akello's going to get the start. Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh, they don't like to make changes. We did see the brief change of Daniel Brunskill in at right guard, and he played very, very well, even though the grades didn't say he played well, but he had Aaron Donald almost the entire game, so that's a rough one. Nick, thank you. Please hit the like button if you guys are listening. That helps us out a lot. Hit like and subscribe. That is the best way to help us out. Here we go from Chris. What do you think is wrong with Witherspoon? It's not just his pass defense. He's always been a poor tackler, Chris. He does not like contact. He was a soccer player, and he didn't start playing football till super, super late in his college career. So he's a guy that just does not like to hit, and he doesn't wrap up. He just dives at the ankles, and that's just kind of what it is. So, it's confidence issue, and we've seen this with Akello twice now. Whenever he has a bad game, he allows it to roll over. When he has a good game, same thing. He's a momentum player. So the bye week is going to be more important for him than almost anybody else. He needs confidence, and the way that you give him confidence is you keep him in zone. Do not put that kid in man. Don't do it. You don't want it. Here we go. How much better are we with Tart in our secondary? So there's areas we're better. There's areas we're worse. We're better in run defense with Marcel Harris. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Marcel Harris, even though he misses tackles, he's much better at keeping outside contain. Tartt's had a problem with that his entire career. The problem comes in the deep passing or anytime the strong safety, which is what Tartt and Marcel Harris play, is not approaching the line of scrimmage. Marcel Harris is at his worst whenever he is retreating, whether a backpedal, shuffle, man coverage, whatever, and he's moving away from the line of scrimmage. That is where Tartt does very, very well. So it's, you could do the whole cost-pair analysis. Both of them have strengths, but yeah, the defense is better with Jaquiski Tartt. I don't think there's any questions with that. But Marcel, he's played really, really well the last 2 weeks. We have bad taste in our mouth whenever you go back, not against the Falcons, but against the Ravens whenever he came in and just, was really, really bad. Ever since then, that first game, he was rough. But then after that, he was great. Oh, sorry, it was against the Saints. And we won that game. He was bad against the Saints, and then it got better. So it's what it is. Real quick, how do we generate a pass rush? You got to win one-on-one matchups. And, teams they're changing the pocket. Everybody understands who the 49ers defense, who they are, and there's been two different blueprints that have been given to beat the 49ers defense. Number one, quick passing, okay? Just get the ball out quick, and the Arizona Cardinals showed everybody that. If you go back to Week 9 when we barely won at the end of the game against the Cardinals 28-25, quick passing neutralized the pass rush, and teams started to pick up on that. Now, the Rams, they showed move the pocket. You got a slow white quarterback. Don't let him stand back there and get his head taken off. So if you want to do more vertical passing and get the ball downfield, you got to escape the pocket. And so that's the play action bootleg, the rollouts, the protected, you're shifting the pocket and getting outside. That screws up the pass rush. And you mix in some screen passes, which completely upsets the pass rush because you're going full speed at the quarterback and then you have to stop your momentum, turn around, and go back the other way. It just wears you out. It makes you play more forward and back and side to side than just all gas, no brakes, go get the quarterback. So those are the issues that are slowing down our pass rush. Now, Nick Bosa, however, has broken a rookie record for the most pass rushing pressures in a year with 69. Nice. Which he's still got another game. But Nick Bosa has been great. It's the other players that have been problematic. And again, a lot of it has to do with scheme. Because if all you have to do is if you're worried about a defensive end in our scheme, don't block them. Which sounds counterproductive. But what you do is, against Robert Saleh's defense, just make it look like a down run block. And what's going to happen with our defensive end in the wide nine, he's not going to shoot at the quarterback. His assignment changes to pursuing the A gap and stopping the run. So if you don't want the defensive ends to get you, all you got to do is just don't block them. Give them a down block look with your tackle or your tight end, and they're not going to go after your quarterback. And so a lot of people has said, or a lot of people are upset with the lack of pass rush. It's scheme. We're taking our guys and we're putting them in the garage. And we're saying, look, pass rush is nice. We want to stop the run first. And we care way more about that. And so as long as we stay in that kind of mindset, we're going to have problems. And, the Seattle Seahawks, they want to run the football. Very similar to the 49ers. They want to run the football. Now, are they going to keep that kind of mindset with the fifth-string retired AARP-sponsored running backs next week? We'll see. Fred Warner's going to eat, and I'm really excited to see Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and Azeez going against Marshawn Lynch. That's just going to be a physical battle, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So really excited to see about that. So from Ron, it would be nice to have the refs call penalties a bit better for the 49ers. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the only game that I felt was called in our favor as far as penalties was the Falcons game, and we lost it. The Falcons game, I the whole time I was like, man, we are on the better side of all these, and we lost. But yeah, I am with you. It has been horrible. There's been lots of bad calls, lots of missed calls. I'm with you. The refs hasn't been a great season for any game. With the Hot Mic app that I broadcast games, I do more than just the 49ers games. And even whenever I'm watching a game I'm completely non-biased on, and there's several times I'm just shaking my head. Ron, I'm with you. It's been a lot of bad calls, a lot of missed calls. It's just what it is. It's part of the NFL. I don't know what to say. But yeah, if you guys want to be watching the broadcast this Sunday night, the 49ers have the last game of the NFL regular season. And we are the creme de la creme. We're the number one matchup that everybody's going to be watching, and everybody's playoff hopes rides on us in the Seahawks. Everybody's going to be watching us. And we get to close out the season, which I'm so excited about. So, if you want to watch that broadcast with us, download the Hot Mic app, one word, HOTMIC. It's everywhere, Android, iTunes, wherever. They got it everywhere. Download it. Use promo code RUSH, RUSHESF, one word. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, just look in the comments description. I put the link in there for you and how to do all of that. So download that, and what happens is it matches up with your TV, syncs up, and you listen to me broadcast the play-by-play and all that stuff, and it's all 49er specific things. So if you don't want to listen to, it's going to be on NBC. So if you don't want to listen to the NBC, Collinsworth, whatever, just talking about Russell Wilson for 2 straight hours, download the Hot Mic app and come join us. It's a lot of fun. It's got a chat feature as well where you can ask questions, and then during commercial break I go over those, and it's much more of a podcast type of play-by-play feel, and it's a lot of fun. So please do that if you haven't already done that. I think we had, close to 600 people join us on the last broadcast, which was awesome. I really, really enjoyed that. So just want to say thank you for those who have been out there. Raymond, what's up, man? In Australia, appreciate it, man, from down under. I almost did an Australian accent, but it would have offended you and me, so I apologize. Thank you, Raymond, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And man, I get a lot of emails, Raymond, from people from Australia and New Zealand. It goes all the way back to goodness, I'm the Jalen. It's not Jalen Hurd. I'm missing the name. The punt returner that we had for a while, the Hurd train, and then Mitch Wisnowski as well. So love the support from the other side of the globe, which is awesome. X. I need one of them hats. I love this hat, man. I haven't taken it. I went and checked the mail, got the box, put it on before I even got back to the house. Love this thing. I'm probably not taking it off until we win the Super Bowl. I'm just going to wear it every day. Sorry about the AARP sponsored running backs if that offends you if you are old. But if you are old, please reach out to Pete Carroll. He is looking for running backs. So if you are an AARP member, just along with Pete Carroll, the oldest coach in the NFL, reach out. He's got you guys. So, John Chapman looking like Freddie Kitchens. How dare you, Barack? You that is awesome. Damien. That was a hold on Ramsey with Sanders on the slant. Wasn't called. He had his backhand on him, and here's the rule. So, couple things. Emmanuel Sanders, real quick. He hasn't been good the last 2 games. Yeah, he had the huge catch, and that's awesome, and you got to celebrate that and coming up clutch in clutch situations. But before that, on his last 8 targets, 3 of those passes were intercepted. If you go back 2 games, the last 3 interceptions have been targeted to Emmanuel Sanders. And so that's problematic. Now, he's not playing well, but that's okay. On the Jalen Ramsey slant interception, this is where Jalen Ramsey reached over with his offhand, batted the ball up in the air, and then a fellow defender picks the ball off. Okay, so you're allowed to have your hand on the back hip of the wide receiver. What you can't do is pull and turn him. So the reason why it didn't get called is, one, that's a really tough call, and it's kind of like a bang-bang play that happens really quick. But number one, Emmanuel Sanders didn't fight for the ball. He was retreating away, and 2, he didn't turn his hips away, so he wasn't pulled away. So Jared Hayne, thank you, Harvey, I appreciate that. The Hayne train, dyslexia strikes again. But you're correct. It was close, but I think it was the good no call. Jalen Ramsey played a hell of a game except for that very last play where he got burned. And again, I talked about this on the broadcast of the game. They were doing a cover 2 under man, which means it's man coverage, and the first line of defense is supposed to be underneath. And you're supposed to stay between the quarterback and the wide receiver, and then you have 2 safeties deep. But the problem was Taylor Rapp, who was the safety and responsible for the half, he was playing the wrong coverage. He was playing cloud 3 or a deep 3. There's lots of different ways you can call it, but where there's 3 safeties back, and he went to the third side of the field instead of the half, and he just took himself out of the thing. So, but yeah, Jalen Ramsey, I can't stand him. I think he's a terrible teammate, but he's a hell of a player, and I love that he gave up that play to lose the game for his team and get knocked out of the playoffs. That was awesome. That was great. Seattle just signed Robert Turbin and Marshawn Lynch. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It's a mess. It is a mess over there. And again, if you look at Vegas and you look at the spreads and you look at all across, it doesn't matter where, even though the game's in Seattle, everybody's believing in this 49ers team. And why not? They play everybody close. They played 4 straight games where the final seconds of the game was decided. I am tired of those. I really want a game where we kind of jump out in front because, man, these cardiac kids, they're killing us. I'm growing older and older as this season continues, but it's been a hell of a year. We got to be able to enjoy this. Every single fan base, especially, social media brings this out. The guys and girls that are just like, oh, we suck, we are exposed, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, hey, there's never been a team to go undefeated and win it all. You can go back to the 12-0 Miami Dolphins, but that was 12 games. That's it. So even the Patriots, and one of the greatest teams of all time, they go 18-0, and then they lose it in the end. So every team loses. We're the only team this year that we do have some losses, not trying to say we don't. We have 3 losses, but all 3 of those losses came on the last possession. So, if you're upset by a team losing, here's what I would say. Watch more football. Nobody wins it all. This isn't Madden. This isn't college. This isn't high school. There's not undefeated teams in the NFL. It just doesn't happen. The fact that, again, we could finish with the best record or close to the best record in the NFC and be a 6 seed, there's a lot of good damn teams out there. There really, really are. So, anyway, take that for what you want. You got to enjoy this. We've been through a lot as 49ers fans the last 6 years. That's just what it is. So, if you can't enjoy the 12-3 year, man, you might, I don't want to say don't be a fan, but just put it in perspective. Enjoy this. This is a great time to be a 49ers fan and be part of the faithful. It's faithful then and faithful now. And this is one of the faithful now. And there are little kids all over the United States. I'm a teacher. I'm around these little suckers. And they're all starting to become 49ers fans because they're so damn fun to watch. And just like there were little kids that became fans with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Steve Young and Deion Sanders and all those things, there's a whole new crop that's coming that are going to be 49ers fans because they keep winning, because they're always on prime time, because there's people like Jimmy G and Fred Warner and Bosa and all these different guys out there. People love that, and they're attracted to it. So enjoy. Don't be the person that's always negative. And I know somebody's listening to this right now that's like, oh, I'm not negative, I'm just a realist. But, man, we're 12-3. And that's got to feel good. Raymond, thank you. Got the hot mic, worth the download. Enjoy the comments and your knowledge. Thank you very, very much, Raymond. Very kind words. And you guys don't have to always be nice. I like negative comments and constructive criticism as well. When we started this podcast 3.5 years ago, good Lord, I had no clue it would turn into what it is now. One of the coolest things happened Sunday night or Saturday night, just after the game. Man, that was just a few days ago, 2 days ago. Somebody sent a picture, the 49ers Hive, which is an awesome Twitter account, 49ers Hive. It's a great way to get 49ers info out there. And they sent me a picture. They were in line at McDonald's in the drive-thru. In the car in front of them, the Uber driver had their phone mounted, listening to the 49ers Rush podcast. And that's really, really cool. I went out to the LA game and wore my 49ers Rush podcast shirt, which you guys can get if you head over to NinersRush.com. Just click on gear, and you can customize the color, hoodie, long sleeve, short sleeve, whatever. You can have that. But man, a lot of people, recognize you and say, hey man, love the podcast, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. And so just want to say thank you, because without all the positive results and, people saying, hey, how do we get film up here during the broadcast? That took me 3 months to figure out. I had several different programs I had to buy and teach myself. I'm not a technology guy, but whenever people say, hey, how do we do? Can we have this? Can you make this happen? Hey, can you do this? And hell yeah, I can. So, but I don't know what to do. I'm not great at ideas. I'm great at football, and I like to talk a lot. So if you have ideas, man, it would be really cool if you guys could put this together. Reach out to me. Email me, 49ersrushpodcast@gmail.com. You could DM me on Twitter is probably the fastest way, @JL_Chapman. But we've got a Facebook account. We've got a Facebook page, 49ers Rush Podcast. We're on Instagram now. A lot of you guys have head over there already. And, we're on LinkedIn. We're everywhere. We're expanded. So if you have ideas of what you want, we want to get that to you. One of the best ideas that was given to me about 2 months ago was for the offseason to start a Football 101 video series where I explain from the ground up, giving video proof and just going over language and commentary and schemes and why this works and why things don't. And we've got a whole team working on that now. So even in the offseason, the 49ers Rush podcast, we're going to keep going. And we're going to keep bringing A-plus content, but we're never going to be satisfied. So if you guys have any ideas, please, Lord, just send it over, whatever you got. Let's see here. Couple more questions real quick. What do you think of Debo being all over the field? I love it. I absolutely love it. He had the most forced missed tackles of any of the running backs. He's getting the ball on end arounds in the orbit motion. He's in the backfield just getting simple, zone reads, even though it's not a zone read in our offense. Jimmy's not going to keep it. Zone give, whatever. I love it. Screens, get Debo the ball. You can't get the ball in that kid's hands enough to build his confidence. And also another thing I wanted to talk about today, this was the first game we haven't had a drop in 8 weeks. We didn't have one pass dropped, which is huge. And we've had a lot of drop passes. Debo, who, he's still leading the entire NFL in drops, which is a problem. But hey, he didn't drop any this week. So what do we say? you take it one day at a time. It's what it is. Let's see here. You say if we lose, more than 49er faithful want to hear. Yeah, I do say that. John Chapman, you suck. Yeah, I appreciate that. I love it. Bring it, man. That's my love language. I didn't get a lot of hugs as a kid, so I love all these negative comments. Let's see here. In what way do you think losing Josh Gordon affects the Seattle's offense? He was a third down machine. Josh Gordon's snaps were very low the entire time for the Seattle Seahawks. Even, he joined, he would just go in on third downs and goal line situations. He wasn't getting a lot of snaps, but he was the first read a lot of times. And the fact that he is out, that complicates things way further. And they've got a lot of young wide receivers out there, but they're not. They're struggling on offense. It is Russell Wilson, and it's DK Metcalf's doing all right. Tyler Lockett's very, very special, but he's a streaky guy that doesn't get a lot of volume. It's just Russell Wilson and those three guys, and we'll have to see what happens. Hollister, their tight end, he's a go-to wide receiver for him now. And he had a hell of a game against the 49ers last time. They're going to have to step up. They really are. Barack, to your answer, I'm not going to read. The answer is not yet. Anyway, Alan, Football 101 would be awesome. I'm not American, didn't grow up playing the game. 101 would help join the dots. Yeah, that's why we're doing it, Alan. And again, if you hear something, and maybe that's what I need to do, whenever you're watching a football game and they say something, and you're like, what the hell does that mean? Just message me. Hey, John, what does this mean? On Twitter. That's the best way, or wherever. And I'll find the video clip that kind of shows that. And I'm just building a library, and we're just going to go through stuff. And that's what we're going to do. So do you think Buckner is playing with an injury unreported? He's playing soft. He's not up to par, and not quite sure why that is the case, Damian. I really, really don't. I love DeForest Buckner. Before this season, I had him rated as the number 3 most important player for the 49ers behind Jimmy G and Kittle. And he's playing well. He's playing good football. He's playing very good starter-level quality football as a 3 technique. But the claim that he is a top 3 interior defensive lineman, you can't make that logically anymore. You really, really can't. Last year you could have. This year, I don't think you can. Is he a top 10 guy? I think so. On the inside, sure, I have no problem with that. Do I hope we sign an extension to him? Yeah, but the extension for Buckner, it's not coming until Eric Armstead gets paid. Eric Armstead has vaulted himself past them, and they work off each other. They both benefit from the way they play, so that's huge. And it's not him or this, but whenever it comes to money, it does kind of turn into that a little bit because there's only so much money to go around. Hopefully, you can find a way to keep both of them. Really hope so. Hey, John, when are you going back to doing the breakdown? That's what got me in your show in the first place. So, yeah, Barack, YouTube took them all down. Every time I kept putting them up there explaining, YouTube, I'd spend hours putting together those film breakdowns, and YouTube just hated it and took it down. So, a couple listeners asked me to start a Patreon page, which is what you're kind of seeing some of that now. And so, anyway, if you want that, it's on Patreon. So, what you have to do is just head over to patreon.com, type 49ers Rush Podcast. You have to join the Frank Gore tier. It's $8 a month, and then you get all those video breakdowns. So those are still up. You just it kind of had to go behind the paywall. Sorry about that, guys. But anyway, so yeah, lots of fun. We've got a great week, lots of injuries, lots of things to monitor as we go on. The 49ers get an extra day, and man, this is going to be fun, guys. Now, it's going to be an interesting week with Christmas and all that stuff. Happy holidays to everybody. Hopefully, you enjoy your time with the family. And if not, make sure you get lots of alcohol to get through your time with the family and enjoy yourself somewhere or the other. But we're going to be back. We're going to have lots of stuff, but it's going to be a little bit of a different schedule. One, we have an extra day, and then the holidays as well. So just want to say thanks again for all of the support, guys. Man, holidays are here, and this is awesome. Lot to celebrate as a 49ers fan, and we will be back sometime soon with the defense, and we'll ask some more questions and some more film and all those things. So thanks, guys. Appreciate all the support, and as always, stay strong, faithful.